It's 6 o'clock in London. It's 1 p.m. in New York. It is, I do believe, 7 p.m. in Sweden, in Stockholm this evening, 1 a.m. in Hong Kong, 3 a.m. in Sydney, 10 a.m. in San Francisco, and 10:30 at night in Mumbai. Greetings, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, depending on where you are in the world today. My name is Patrick L. Young, the IPO-VID live stream, Series 8, Episode 6. That makes a grand total of 48th episode tonight. Starts here. And well, let's pop back and look at the IPO-VID alumni. We'll probably hear from a couple of them during the course of the evening. You two, ladies and gentlemen, if you want to ask us a question, drop it into the social media feed wherever you are watching this today, whether it's on Facebook, LinkedIn, or YouTube. But the most notable alumnus mention of the week must go surely to Lynn Martin. Lynn Martin has been elevated this week to the president, the chief executive officer of the New York Stock Exchange. Second woman in history to manage to run that august institution. And if you want to get to know her better, if you'd like to see what it's like to have a little bit of private FaceTime with Lynn Martin, don't forget to pop back into our archives. You can get them on YouTube at IPO-VID. She was talking about ICE bonds growing the portfolio trade, where of course she was president of the fixed income and data services business at the Intercontinental Exchange before her recent elevation. She's still actually going to chair that arm of the business, but she's also going to be the president of the New York Stock Exchange. Lynn Martin, we salute you. Absolutely delighted to hear of an IPO-VID alumnus going on to bigger and better things. All this news and more, of course, has been already covered in greater detail in Exchange Invest Daily, the unique newsletter of the Bourse business. Send us an email or hit us up on social media, wherever you're watching this, via whatever stream you happen to be on the live, and we can get you signed up to understand the derivatives exchange business worldwide of all the bourses, derivatives, cash, and everything else. Our guest today, ladies and gentlemen, is another fantastic, intelligent, brilliant power woman in the parish of exchanges and financial markets, Taraneh Derayati. She's going to be talking about a new code for market structure, and that is indeed a very elegantly multifaceted title for today. Taraneh is CEO of Vermiculus Financial Technology. We might get into the Latin of that later, an innovative financial tech company. FinTech, delivering microservices-based solutions for the largest trading and clearing venues globally. Taraneh has vast experience in leading large technical transformation projects for exchanges and clearing houses. Prior to Vermiculus, Derayati was head of sales and responsible for business development and client account management at Cinnober, where Taraneh led some of the firm's largest sales before it was acquired by Nasdaq. Taraneh continued as a VP at Nasdaq Market Technology, where she led a major clearing project to replace the entire infrastructure and developed the agile transformation of a leading clearing house, amongst many other achievements during the course of her existence. So, a hand-picked team, Vermiculus Technology, all new vendor in financial markets. Taraneh, good evening. Where in the world are you today?
Hello, Patrick, and hello, everyone. I'm in Stockholm, Sweden, and it's now 7 p.m. and we have minus 15 degrees. I'm also in the office.
15 degrees, my goodness.
Yes.
Well, bear with me complaining because we're down to single-figure degrees in Valletta, Malta this evening with gale force winds, it has to be said, and 90% humidity. Minus 15, that's really, cold. No matter what way you look at that, how you try to smooth those statistics, that is absolutely cold. So tell us a little bit about Vermiculus. The origins of this is another play from your hands and also the great Renaissance genius of financial markets technology, Niels Robert Pearson, I believe.
Yes, so we can start actually with the name. I'm sure when you Google Vermiculus, you find something that's the first search, that's the first layer. But I would say you should deep a little bit deeper than that. That would be too easy for us to just pick something that you can Google it. So Vermiculus is actually the Latin for vermilion, and vermilion is a synthetic cinnober. So that's where the name comes from. Let's talk about the company. Yes, and I will let you find out what the logo is about, because that also has a story. So we started roughly 2 years ago, 22 months ago, to be exact, in the middle of the pandemic. And we exist today because we saw a huge gap in the market for a provider of rank that can actually provide modern technology, replacing legacy code, legacy technology, and be a team that has been delivering this kind of services and systems for a long time, and also being independent. That was a huge gap. We saw that chance and we took it, and we designed a very modern system and for not only clearinghouses and exchanges, but also for a broader financial industry, which we will discuss a little bit about today. And we now getting confirmation of our choices. I would like to mention a couple of interesting things that has happened recently. If we look at the deals between CME and Google and Nasdaq and Amazon, they all confirm the need that the technology infrastructure needs to be renewed and modernized. And we actually saw this 2 years ago and started with that.
Wow, that's quite fascinating altogether. So you're a leader in the cloud. You were built entirely cloud native, making you uniquely, I think, amongst the exchange and related vendors to have come out of that whole position of being built for the cloud. So how do you go about day one of creating a complete new synthetic Cinnober, a Vermiculus?
That's a very good question, Patrick, because the team that we gathered together is really handpicked. This is a very expert special team that have built systems for exchanges and clearinghouses for the past 25, 30 years. So the experience is unique. But when we started Vermiculus, of course, we had no legacy code, nothing. We had a white sheet of code and a tons of experience. So this is a unique opportunity. We said, let's start with the kickoff. We took the team, we went offsite, had 2 days of deep discussions where we want to take the company, what we want to build, how we want to build it. And we were all in agreement in many things, that we are going to be customer-centric. Quality is number one. And also cloud native. So even the whole organization is in the cloud, very slim. And for us and for our customers, it doesn't matter which cloud provider they choose. We are cloud agnostic. And that's something that's very unique to be able to offer that. And then we started with the technology, with the design of the systems. And we chose to build the systems on microservices, which is also very new. And what is a microservice? It's really a piece of functionality that enables a true decoupling of systems. So systems today are monolithic, or if they are modular, they still share a data model. But if you go deeper down and break it down to microservices, then you can truly get this decoupling, which enables you to provide services easier, much faster. You can deploy them in real time, and you can, so every microservice has its own data model and protocol. That was one of the main stones of our design. And then another important factor that is different from what we've done before is the choice of the tools that we use. So the landscape of technology and software development looks very different today. Like for 10, 15 years ago, we had to build everything ourselves. There were no good third-party tools that we could trust or that could hold up to the quality standards that we needed. So we build a lot of things ourselves. But now it has changed. A lot has changed. So now today we don't have to build everything ourselves. We can actually use very good third-party products out there and only build the things that we are experts on. And that has led to the situation we are today, that we have a couple of customers signed and we are delivering to our customers, and that shows the speed of the development that it brings, this microservices architecture-based system.
Fascinating altogether. So let's pause there for just a second, Taraneh. We've had a big data download already, and we're only 10 minutes into the show. We're going to pause and let you get a drink. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm with Taraneh Derayati, the CEO of Vermiculus Financial Technology this evening. We're talking about what is essentially a new code for market structure. Very, very interesting topic altogether. We're going to get back to delving a little bit deeper into what are microservices in just a moment. If you've got a question for Taraneh or you'd like to make a comment, please drop it in. Speak to us on LinkedIn, on Facebook, on YouTube. The good news is we're getting messages from all of you, but I'm hearing we have a problem communicating back from our producers at the moment on LinkedIn. So apologies, we're not answering your messages instantaneously, but let me take this opportunity to say hello to a few great viewers. Romilly Wakeling, how lovely to see you today. You're saying hi. It's great to hear from you, Romilly. Another power woman in the room for this evening. Bit of a shame that Lando result at the weekend. Not such a good Grand Prix for him, but certainly going down to the wire with Lewis Hamilton in a couple of weeks' time. Will it be Speedworth Dodgems or will there be a motor race? That will be the interesting thing to see, I suppose. Hello as well, Simon Huckle. Yes, good evening. Good evening to you, Simon. I hope everything's good in your world and that business is keeping you busy in the race to Christmas. Delightful to hear from you. Also, it's lovely to hear from Peter Secon. Peter, good evening to you as well. And let me say thank you very much to the three of you guys, because I know you're all passionate shareholders in Valerian Blockchain. Valerian being the company of which I'm the executive director. We've got an option to acquire the Gibraltar Stock Exchange at this juncture, and we're trying to do something that's very interesting in terms of bridging the gap with, well, the crypto economy and the real world legacy asset economy, as indeed Les Calvert also knows. Good evening, Les. Great to see you this evening. Thank you very much, everybody, for your messages. Ask a question if you would like to, if you've got any comments to pass on to Taraneh. And actually, here we go. First question for Taraneh Derayati coming from Stephen Mahoney. Stephen, good evening. Thank you very much for your question. So, Taraneh, how does Vermiculus differentiate itself from competitors?
Thank you very much for this question. It's a very good question. And there are a lot of things that differentiate us from our competitors. First of all, we are independent and most of our competitors are not. And we have not only focus on quality, but the quality is built in every step of the process. It's not something that comes at the end. We have special test frameworks developed. When we develop, we have a certain way of developing the software. We have a certain way of testing and also certain way of involving our customer that makes sure that they receive the highest quality system at the end of a project. We have today the only AI-based microservices post-trade system that exists in the market. No one else has that. It's cloud native and cloud agnostic. So you can choose Google, Amazon, or other cloud providers. And it's extremely flexible because with this microservices architecture that we have, you can really get to the bottom of the requirements of a customer based on a well-proven product. So you get exactly what you want, and you don't have to have a bigger piece of that or less of that. So that's very important as well. We have been in this industry for so many years that we understand customization is a key success factor for the projects. Another very important piece is the way we drive the projects, the agility, and how we have formed that. That's another story by itself. But these are some of the most important differentiating factors.
Very interesting, and I hope we can manage to dig down into some of those as we go through. But actually, we've got another question instantaneously, so let's switch to that as we're still on the high level, on the macro. Peter Secon. Hi, Peter. I hope that move went well for you over the weekend, by the way. What do you see Vermiculus' biggest challenge to be over the next 12 to 18 months? And bear in mind, you're only what? You're only 24 months old. Like this week, aren't you? Something like that.
Yes, we were 22 months old, really. We started operation March last year, yes. So thank you very much, Peter. I would say Vermiculus, one of the challenges that we have is that we are providing systems in a very small part of so the industry we are in is very small. It's not that big. There are only that many exchanges and clearinghouses. And what we have seen now recently, and for a while also, I would say, is that the big providers, they try to sell the systems in a way that looks good in the start, pricing, timeline, and so on. And then the cost for the projects come afterwards to the customer. Mm-hmm. So they have to pay later. And this can, of course, big names also can do that. However, we are a small company. We cannot do that. That would mean for us that we get no customer. And what this means then is that the trust disappears in this small niche of the industry. And then the exchanges and clearinghouses look inside for the IT departments that they have to start building systems. And that's always more expensive, takes much longer time. And you should always buy from an expert and then not try to build yourself, because you will get a better result. So that, I would say, is our challenge right now.
Okay, so you mentioned there what is essentially commoditization. I mean, you're looking to produce a product and therefore sell it to various people, or at least you're looking... Actually, let me roll that back a bit. Is it a commoditized product, or is it a package of microservices that are each bespoke to every client?
It is a product-based solution. So we are building a product. So we have a product as a base. However, the level of customization with our microservices is something that does not exist today in the market. So you can get very exact what you want, but because what you need to think about is that if you have a product at the base, usually you come to the level where you cannot change for the customization without changing the product or taking a new product release and so on. But what we are trying to go away from that and build a very strong base, and then the microservices can be easily customized exactly how the customer wants it. So you can have as little customization or as many customization you want. It's not difficult with microservices. If you want to make new service, a new microservice can be added, and that doesn't impact the whole system. So it's much more lean to add things and services. And we are also designed to be able to do things like this in runtime. So that's also, I would say, the trend that does not exist today, but you will see this in near future.
Very interesting altogether. Thank you very much. Stephen saying thank you very much. Interesting insights. Really appreciate your question, Stephen. Really appreciate your question too, Peter Second. And apologies once again, for some reason we have a problem. I know you can see us on LinkedIn. We're receiving your questions and comments, which we thoroughly are delighted to see, but we have a problem trying to respond to you via that social media stream at the moment. So don't think that we're ignoring you. We're delighted to see all of your comments. Speaking of which, we have a question from the great, the wonderful, the illustrious brain of CCPs, Miss Bernie Kennedy. Bernie, good evening. It's lovely to see you. I'm going to presume you're not in Hong Kong on the grounds that you're sending us this message in real time. Hi there. Question. What is your strategy to convince old school legacy exchanges to consider Vermiculus? Are there any early successes you can share?
Hi, Bernie. Thank you very much for your question. Yes, so the strategy is that, first of all, we have a strength in how we can build the system. So the experience is there, the knowledge is there, the team is extremely specialized and has a very, very successful CV in the industry. Of course, we're building a new product, so that needs to be proven. And I can share with you that we are going to have a go live next year and another one the year after already. And that shows also the level of speed on which we can develop and deliver. And that's 3 or 4 times faster than what we could do before with the microservices architecture. So I would say the result will speak for itself. And also the number of design studies we have done It's extreme. It's a lot of design studies that we are involved in, and a lot of exciting discussion with actually exchanges and clearinghouses in 5 continents today, and also having all of this without even seeing one single customer in real life. We have not traveled yet, we haven't seen them, and we still have this pipeline and this track record that we're building, which we hope will be proof enough for the old school exchanges and clearinghouses.
Fascinating answer altogether, Taraneh. Thank you very much. And of course, you're very gently trying not to mention the fact that Sweden is in fact a civilization which didn't have a panic attack during COVID-19. And you could have actually left if only other people would have let you travel to their country during the course of COVID's epidemic. But perhaps Omicron will manage to get itself self-sorted, as nobody seems to be dying of it. Bernie, good luck. I see that you are in the middle of Storm Barra at the moment, which I know is, well, we've actually got a slight storm in Valletta this evening, but you're certainly at the worst end of the storm. So at least it's not -15 as it is with Taraneh right now. Thank you for the question, Bernie. Really good to hear from you. So let's try and dig down a little bit more into this. I'm just trying to get my head around this microservices picture. I mean, previously, for example, there was a huge vogue in a lot of programming, and you yourself come from an ACE coding background, Taraneh. There was a lot of emphasis on things like Agile, and people got very excited, and there was this sort of semi-perma endless Scrum, and people were doing Agile, this, that, and the other. I'm not necessarily sure it always worked. I mean, I think it sometimes was quite messy as to how it went on. How does that contrast, and therefore how do microservices improve or move things forward?
I would say we need to answer this question in 2 parts. First of all, the microservices and the structure of the system and solution itself, and then how it's developed, the way it's developed, and the way we deliver to our customers. So if we look at, so all of these microservices are sitting on a platform that we're building, and we are not building the platform ourselves, all of it. We are using actually Kafka, which is an international standard, and we get a lot of help from that, so that we don't need to reinvent the wheel. It makes us very fast in our development, and also it's a platform that's known everywhere, so all of our customers will be able to recognize, add their own microservices on Kafka, and it makes it very easy to integrate. And that's not only with the platform, but all the tools that we are using. We are looking at the third-party tools out there that are proven to be good. We try them. If they pass our quality gate, then we use them. If they don't, we build our own. So we have a lot of standard tools, which makes, again, easier operation, easier for customers to understand, to integrate, and also faster time to market. So that's the base of it. And then on top of that, you put microservices, which contain a very specific function, business function. So you can have, forget about a clearing system or a trading system. Think about functions in microservices. Then you can group them to form your system. Maybe you want a little bit of this, a little bit of that. Maybe you don't want to have the Chinese wall between the system, or you want. But with this, you can choose. So you can choose how to form your solution. Because many times you're interested in clearing, but you may want to have some functions from trading as well. So why not make it a place like a Lego where you can put things together and create your own solution? And then the other part is, how do we go about to develop this? You mentioned Agile, and that's true. And I agree with you that the Agile by the book is not the solution. Not always, and you need to customize your Agile process as well to fit your organization and your customers' need and the character of your customer. And we've done it so many times, so for us it's kind of in the blood that we can, okay, this customer needs this kind of interaction, and we're always transparent with our customers. They can choose how much they interact with us, how much they want to be involved. We always share everything, which is something also unique. I don't know any other provider that does this today. So that's the other way how we organize ourselves to be agile, because if we are not agile, and if you want to deliver in an agile way, the company needs to be agile. So not only the project that you're working with needs to be agile, the whole organization needs to be constructed in a way that enables you to work in a flexible way. So we have a very slim, very flat organization. Every function is there to serve our product team and our project teams. And every customer gets its own project team with the focus on them only. And we work together, we create a team with only one goal, to deliver the best quality to that customer.
Now that's very interesting, because you talked there about you're going to give your own project team to every customer. I mean, that's pretty radical in terms of how are you going to expand over time? I mean, you're going to end up surely with a huge number of project teams.
That's true. And the way we handle that is that we also have a product team that we can always, because there is always things to do in the product. We can do new services, we can do new technologies, we can be in new areas. So we have a way of expanding and minimizing the product team and make sure that our customer projects always have the sufficient amount of resources, because they also go into different phases. So after completion of a project, then the team can focus on another project or focus on the product. But we have found that this is the only way to provide a high quality to a customer. You cannot provide a high quality if you have a developer working with one customer 20% of its time, and then another customer 30% of the time, because there is so much split focus, so much change of context, that you lose efficiency, you lose also long-term relationship and the focus on the quality. So we do take that risk on the organization, which we manage through our product team to be able to make sure that our customers get their own projects.
Very interesting. And obviously that also brings us then, I mean, talking about the customer service that you're really stressing, we keep hearing these rumors that come around every so often, and there seem to be a lot of, first of all, there are a lot of projects that are rumored to be behind time. There are actually, well, there are projects in the public domain that are very much behind time. I'm not expecting you to comment on those in particular, and some of them are in the middle of the night as we're recording this, so perhaps the Australian Stock Exchange aren't watching real time, although admittedly I'm not sure they should be sleeping at night given how far behind their settlement project is right now. But there's a lot of talk in the industry that a lot of people are suffering delivery problems. Is that something that you're aware of, that you're trying to address?
Highly aware of, Patrick, and that's actually something we try to speak about loudly in the industry, because let's be honest, on-time deliveries, they have disappeared, and there is no accountability. Not much happens if you delay. Not much happens if you then increase the price with 50%. The customers are locked in. It becomes a very kind of a toxic environment for the customers, and then also the trust and the reputation of the industry is affected. So we are loudly speaking for adding more accountability to these IT projects, and most of it is because overselling. You sell something with a low price and with a very short timeline that is not realistic, and then you make sure that those shortages come later on in the project. And that's not the way we do business. We would not exist if we were to go about it that way. So we need to make sure that the vendors in the industry are taking responsibility to deliver transparency, quality, be measured on what was promised, what was delivered, be more open about it. There is so little speak about this in our industry that's shocking.
Yes, I think you're right. I mean, it's quite incredible. And obviously some projects have come into the fore, and there have also been some very subtle maneuverings where vendors have been edged out and replaced with other vendors, and the exchanges aren't even willing to talk about it on the record, which I think is quite incredible. So you're looking to try and break that. You're trying to get on-time delivery. You're trying to demonstrate the idea that you're not going to be over-promising and therefore under-delivering. But nonetheless, I mean, this seems to be an incredible position that you've got yourselves into in such a short period of time. I mean, 22 months. How do you open the doors, take a space? I mean, I think you've been to you've pretty much been in every co-working space in Stockholm by now, because you've been moving office so often with the expansion of the team.
Yes.
I mean, walk me through that. How do you even hand pick your team of 80 people? I mean, Stockholm's big, but it's not that big.
Yeah, so that's correct. We are now in our third office. This is our own office, but it's too little. So we were looking at other offices this week. So we are going to move soon again. And I'm sure we're going to need to move again. So that's very exciting. I'm very humble about it, that we have not had any issue with employing people, hiring good people. And I would say the people here, the quality is extremely high, because it's only people that have a passion to do something new, something challenging. They like to work in a team. They have tons of experience. And of course, the incentives also that we offer is promising, because the company will be owned by the employees. 90% of the company will be owned by the employees, which is also pretty unique, I would say. And also, so we have the culture of being inclusive. Everyone in a team has a say. Everyone is important. And you don't get these kind of people by trying to manage them in a spreadsheet or in a hierarchy, the organization that puts you in boxes and you have to apply for permission to do a lot of things and so on. These are the people that are innovative people. You have to give them the right atmosphere to be able to operate well, because they are smart people and they need a good challenge. And the culture is very important for us. So the people that we have here, the first thing we say is that we are only going to get people that we work well with. They are smart, we can trust, and that we can count on. As I told you, accountability is important. And that goes throughout the organization, also with the people that we have. We have a lot of people, Patrick, that want to join us, and I would be very happy to see many of them joining us, and that we are bringing on people almost every day as we are growing and we have our customer projects to create. And so it's a very exciting time. And Stockholm is a FinTech center, of course, not only for Sweden, but also for Nordics. So that itself gathers a good amount of talent. And also the technology we offer is completely new. It's on the bleeding edge of the technology. So very good people would like to learn new things, standard things, and that actually attracts a lot of good people.
Brilliant. So here we are. We're on the bleeding edge, which makes you all the braver for wearing that lovely cream jacket this evening. I'm surprised you haven't managed to get something on it from the blood spatter that must be everywhere as we're trying to advance forward in the microservices as well. Yeah. Let's come back to that in a second, Taraneh. It's really, really interesting. But actually, talking about operating models, we've got a great question here from Peter Sekon. Thank you, Peter, once again for the question. New service delivery models will emerge as robots and algorithms join a more diverse finance workforce. I'm thinking about the integration of freelancers, gig workers, and crowds. What key changes do we see from a workplace and workforce perspective that employers will be doing new things in new ways? Taraneh.
Yes, very good question, Peter. Also in the midst of the pandemic, where everyone had to do things in new ways. So for us, for example, traveling to our customers, seeing our customers was a natural thing to do. And we had to totally stop that. We could not see one customer in real life. And we adapted to that, of course, with the technology and so on. But and again, this creating this innovative atmosphere to work with. Not everything needs to be from the office, even though my colleagues, they do like to come to the office, and that's why we need bigger and bigger offices. There are a lot of ways to do things and be creative, but you need to keep the communication very clear, consistent, and repetitive. So make sure that everyone has the information, that they can make their own decisions, regardless of in which format or where they are and so on. But you mentioned also robots, and I would like to talk a little bit about machine learning and then AI as well, because that's an area that we are looking into and incorporating that in our product. And there are a lot of things to be done to change how the systems at exchanges and clearinghouses operate. For example, having elastic scalability in the system, and that the system is smart enough to scale up and down based on the peaks where they happen, the load peaks and so on. And that you can do with machine learning, that you can train the system and have smart functions to do so. You can also do a lot of smart things about risk management. We are talking with a major clearinghouse about applying AI for risk management functions, for predictions of volatility, or smart dashboards that they can guide the user to take decisions and so on. So the number of things you can do are almost limitless. And also in the area of user friendliness, how you can make sure your system displays or how the user use the system. So of course now everyone uses a web-based user interface, for example, but that was not a certain choice just 10 years ago. But even if you look at these web-based user interfaces, they usually just show the data model in the back end. You really don't want that. You want a smart user interface that guides the user and is workflow-based, role-based, rather than a back-end mirror. So there are a lot of things you can do differently.
Wow, there you go, Peter Sakon. That was a slight design for living the future, all in 2.5 minutes, delivered elegantly by Taraneh Derayati there. I hope that helps you with where the question's going. I'm really interested, I mean, talking about the workforce, Taraneh. Okay, you've got 80 fabulously talented people. I know that many of them were your colleagues previously at Cinnober and so on, and obviously they were hugely talented people. As a side note, I have to just point out the fact that having been delighted to be invited and cut the ribbon and give the opening speech when Cinnober opened their fabulous premises in Umeå. I'm quite shocked. You've been through 3 offices already and you haven't invited me to come and open one of them in Stockholm. I suppose you're going to say that's all down to the pandemic, so that's fair enough. I'll let you off with that one. It's really, really interesting when we're looking at the staffing thing, though, because you've stressed the fact that your staff all are really, really eager to build something that's exciting and new, and they want to build the future. At the same time, you're telling us your staff have got this incredible amount of exchange and clearinghouse and so on experience. I totally believe you, Taraneh. I'm not wishing to question you, but isn't it difficult to get people who are really open to the new world of microservices and everything that's come in this world, who've already been building exchanges and clearinghouses for 15 years?
Very good question, Patrick. And I would say answer this in 2 ways. One is the key word is multi-generational team that we have. So we have very experienced people. We also have young people from the school. We also have people with a slightly different background, just to have a very good diversity from different experiences. So we make sure that we also put the ground for future growth of the company and the company's success for 50 years, 100 years, and so on. So we build the ground already today. So we have a multi-generational team that have been involved in multi-generation creating of this system. And you would be surprised how much the people that have worked with these systems before have new ideas how to, because if you think that you've built your first house, then okay, I would have done this differently. And then you build your second house, it's a little bit better. The third house is really good, but the fourth one is actually great. And that's a little bit like that here as well. So the more experience you have, there are also more of things you don't want to do to make it even better. And that is the luxury that we have, because these are the people that have built and also want to change what they had built to something new. So that's a great combination. And then to that, you add the new energy and the young people with another set of eyes, and you get a perfect combination there, which we try to keep also in all the new hires we do. And by the way, yes, you are invited, Patrick. I'm not sure which office we'll be in when you come to Stockholm. I wouldn't say come today, it's a little bit cold, but
if I come today, it's a little bit cold, and you'll undoubtedly be 2 offices down the road by spring at this rate anyway. So so I look forward to it. I look forward to getting to visit you sometime in the near future for whichever new office we can inaugurate with that date. It's really, really exciting. And actually, we've got a great question coming in. Thank you, Taraneh, and thank you for that question, Peter, previously. Question from Martin Watkins, who is another IPO-VID alumnus. Good evening, Martin. Delighted to see you also, of course, being elevated to Chief Executive of Montes Digital just a couple of months ago, which is a new CSD function that's being built around the Archax digital exchange. Patrick Young and Taraneh Derayati, an excellent session. Well, thank you very much, Martin. How do you see new ways of working? Whoa. Impacting business decisions to develop assets and intellectual property versus creating high-quality talent pools?
Thank you very much for your question, and thank you very much for listening to this session. So if by new ways of working, we mean hybrid way of working from home, from office, or some people in the office, some people in the home and have the meetings and so on. Of course, if you have a team that and that you have put the culture for that organization, that works. However, if you're creating a culture and if you're creating an innovative product and so, you still need to have these interactive sessions with the people to get to the essence of the innovation. That's very difficult if you put a new team that haven't worked together, don't know each other, on Teams and try to make something innovative. I'm not saying it's impossible, but it would be much more efficient if they could write on a whiteboard and sit together in a room, of course, if the pandemic and other situation allows. But I would say if you have a team that has worked very well together and know how they want to work, then that does not matter so much. Then you can be in different locations, as long as you have good connection, so you can have a good sound, a good video, that works. However, we do have here from the people, they would like to sit together for certain meetings and certain innovative process, and that I understand that it's necessary. Also, a good office where you feel comfortable, where you have all the necessity for your day, and where you have a good location where you can go and maybe do a couple of things you need to do and try to have this life-work balance. That's also very important. So for us, it's very important to invest in our people, invest in that they are comfortable, they have everything they need, they feel that there is a good balance between life and work, and that they feel happy, because if you have happy people and good quality people, that will lead to also you will have happy customers, which is the end goal. And that's how we are trying to solve this.
So happy customers, happy staff. Are you still having breaks for coffee and cake in the afternoons? I think.
Oh yes.
Oh yes. I'm always amazed. I'm always impressed. How do you manage to have these coffee and cake breaks and you're looking so slim, Taraneh? I'm so impressed.
You have to sometimes maybe walk home or
walk home in -15 degrees. Presumably you walk quickly.
Yes.
It could be one of those things. Thank you, Martin Watkins, very much for an excellent question. It's fascinating looking at the new ways of working and what's going on. And I mean, just bringing together that whole thing. I mean, you're a young company, but actually, I mean, originally the ethos has come from another company that was quite young. I mean, Cinnober wasn't around for that many years, but fundamentally changed the way that people was using the tech stack and the distribution of the tech stack and exchanges. How do you see the world of exchanges evolving from
Patrick, I lost you for a second. Yes.
Terribly sorry. I'm not quite sure. We have gale force winds here, ladies and gentlemen. I'm terribly sorry. It's not minus 15 degrees. So I'm back again. How do you, ironically, I was asking a question about how you saw technology evolving at precisely the point in time when our internet just went down in Malta. I'm curious, how do you see the technology you're using, and how do you see the way that exchanges are working, and obviously the clearing systems and CCPs and so on?
So I would say technology is definitely driving the trend in our industry. That's no question about it. And also that I believe in more accessible cloud native microservices, so to speak. Because what do I mean with that? It's that these are microservices that you deploy as new services to your customers. You can be on any cloud. You can be very flexible. You can have new microservices in runtime. You can have different AI functions connected to that microservice, so that you can really take your services to the next level. And for that to happen, then you need to think outside of the monolithic systems and the legacy systems that exist today, and think of services as smaller pieces of functions that can be actually decoupled and be independent and work for themselves. And that's the trend I see. And you can also take that another level and say, yes, a microservice for a risk management, you can have it so generic that you can have any asset class, because we see now a lot of trend in tokenization and the cryptocurrency and so on. Of course, it has been for many years, but it needs, so it shouldn't matter really what kind of service you want to do. You need to be able to easily and quickly provide that. That I think is the future, that you need to be very quick in how you respond to your customers, and therefore you need to have the technology base to be able to do so. So move away from monolithic old legacy systems. They won't keep up.
So an end to monolithic centralization. The speed of customer response is absolutely vital. Incredible. What is possibly even more incredible, Taraneh, is we've had this really fascinating conversation. We've discussed the new things of technology. We've been looking at all sorts of issues. We've had multiple questions, and no one has mentioned the B word or the C word, blockchain. We've got to 48 minutes in this discussion, and it hasn't even been whispered until right now. So someone has to ask it. I'm afraid it falls to me. Talk to me. Where do you see your relationship or interaction beginning or ending with the distributed ledger?
So we have already today a couple of discussions with exchanges and clearinghouses. That because as it becomes more mainstream and it's easier to create an exchange, and hopefully not only derivatives going to the clearing, but also other types of contracts, cryptocurrency contracts. So we have been talking to these, I would say, investors or innovators for a long time. We had our first customer wanted to be a crypto clearing house for 7 years ago, and they were very, very quick into wanting to become a clearing house. And so we have been in this trend for a while now. And for us, the technology is available. And you can listen to blockchain, you can look at the balances on the different wallets if you want to create a kind of a clearing system around it. And of course, it needs to have a good use case. That's why we see a lot of exchanges, but not so many clearing houses for pure cryptocurrency products. You see, of course, the futures and so on, and cash-settled futures. That doesn't differentiate so much from another cash-settled future. That's another currency for you. But blockchain still to prove its use case. But of course, as a decentralized kind of database, it has many uses. And we have looked at it and we can connect to it. But we also have, now we're using Kafka as both kind of a streaming messaging platform and also a database. So there are also other tools look into that. So it's not that new for us anymore. We've been there for many years.
And so fascinating, because actually, as I was asking you this question that had just occurred to me, there was Martin Watkins, the CEO of Montes Digital, a blockchain-based CSD provider, actually asking a question on the same vein. Thank you very much once again, Martin. What is the approach of Vermiculus to digital securities, and in particular, the Swedish Riksbank's CBDC project?
So we are actually very open to these kind of innovations, and because we have a team that like challenges, so we want new project, things that are disruptive, things that are has a certain concept of a challenge into them. So for us, it's a nice project to do digital securities. We have the infrastructure to model those, of course. And not only Swedish Riksbank that's looking at these digital currencies, but there are many countries looking into this, and that's a very exciting trend. And we are actually talking to another country digital currency project, also for CSD. So that's very exciting, and we are involved in the discussion. And for us, it's just another challenging tech project.
Excellent. Really interesting to hear altogether. And so therefore, I mean, what's the future lying for you in terms of, are you going to be continuing to look just at the niche of essentially CSDs, CCPs, and around the exchange technology sphere, or do you have ambitions beyond that?
So you're going to see that Vermiculus is going to be a market leader in providing excellent technology to the whole transaction chain, really. With our microservices, we have gone from being only clearinghouse, trading, CSD, that we can do many other kind of projects, payments projects, the digital currency projects. So we have expanded the business by changing the architecture, and this new technology allows us to be much more flexible. We are very much looking into providing services, SaaS services with our microservices, especially for the post-trade and risk management. And there are very interesting discussions going on about that, especially clearinghouses that want to provide services to their members to report also for specific functions. So that also we're looking into. You're going to see a lot of happy customers from us. You are going to see more quality people joining us. And you will also see a great deal of innovation coming from the Vermiculus team.
Wow, that's quite something for a company that's only 22 months old. Good grief, what's 22 months? That's roughly the gestation period of an elephant, and it looks as if you're giving birth to some sort of very tech-hungry, very agile elephant with a lot of born at birth with a lot of microservices all around it. Quite fascinating altogether to hear about it, Taraneh. So you've got huge ambition. You're moving incredibly fast. You still haven't been able to leave the country to go and actually market your wares yet. You've been doing everything on Zoom and all of these other sort of technology natures and so on. How does that impact how you actually end up building and deploying to the customer?
So as we are all in cloud, the whole company structure is in cloud. And our customers, they have different preferences. We have customers that they only want to be deployed in the cloud. And we have customers that want to have a mixture of cloud and on-prem. And for us, it doesn't matter. We have made the design so that our customer can choose, because we are not going to force anyone to go into the cloud. If they want to be in the cloud, the system is cloud native. But if we are going to deploy on-prem, of course, we will be there, and we have done that before, of course, so no issue for us. But we see more and more trends into going into the cloud. And we saw this, of course, many years ago when we decided to have everything in the cloud. I don't think we will be on-prem Vermiculus. We have enjoyed being in the cloud. It's very slim, also makes all of our moves much easier, so we can move to new officer quicker. So that's also another advantage for us. But more and more cloud.
Very interesting. More and more cloud, but not having your head in the clouds, according to that old English expression. Clearly, having your feet firmly on the ground,
Definitely.
in the Irish vernacular. So at the same time, you're looking towards this. You can move very quickly because you are so cloud native. It also allows you to move prem as much as you can manage to be on-prem, as we've already heard, as you've been through 3 offices in 22 months. Absolutely incredible story from start to finish. And therefore, this all seems like an incredible tale of update of the capital market revolution itself, Taraneh. But let me just ask you then, as a last question, where do you go next?
So Patrick, you froze, but I think you asked where the capital market is going next. Where does Taraneh go next, or where does capital? Okay, go for the future. Yes, I would say newer kinds of technology applications. So technology for me is driving the trend in the industry, and that's correct because we need to be able to adapt to the needs of what's coming with great technology, modern technology, quality. I would see, we will see more and more software as a service. We will see a lot of services in the cloud. We will see a lot of decoupling of the systems. We will see generic solution for many asset classes to be able to provide services to many different jurisdictions and also different marketplaces. You will probably be able to have several marketplaces with few microservices and so on. So it will be a transformation of how this monolith system has created the infrastructure today. And most definitely, there is no place for old legacy systems in the new world. The exchanges and clearinghouses that want to be on the edge of the services to their members, and so they're all looking into changing their infrastructure. So we can be sure that that's a step that has only started, and we will see acceleration into that.
So there you go, ladies and gentlemen. Just when you thought it was safe to come out because the revolution was slowing down, it's accelerating once again. An absolutely fascinating opportunity for a discussion with Taraneh Derayati. Thank you very much. One of the things that struck us, of course, earlier in the conversation was this announcement. We now know that a vermiculus is, amongst other things, the Latin word for a synthetic cinnober. What she won't reveal at the moment, though, is the logo of Vermiculus, and if we can see that on screen, we've got a very interesting conundrum here. The Vermiculus logo, what does it actually mean, ladies and gentlemen? Taraneh has left us with that interesting poser. So we have this fascinating, it looks almost like a belly dancing dragon that's at the bar that's bending itself backwards. Perhaps it's trying to do the breaststroke. I think the one thing that we can say, ladies and gentlemen, is unfortunately through the course of the last hour that Armenia, Micah and Racy in our production team have been trying desperately to get hold of Robert Langdon, who we know is, of course, the professor of symbology in the Dan Brown novels. When we get through to him, hopefully we'll get some input as to what exactly this logo stands for. On a much more serious note, really, really interesting to look at the whole new code for market structure that has been outlined during the course of this evening with Taraneh Derayati. Very customer focused, absolutely cloud native, enabling the opportunity that, yes, you can be on-prem if you really, really want to be, but it almost seems like such an anachronism in this cloud extended era. And therefore, A very, very controversial and interesting pointer. Who's delivering at the moment on time? Well, Vermiculus, they're going to be delivering CSDs in 2022 and 2023. We're going to see clearing systems going in, which I think is going to be absolutely fascinating. Is that logo of Vermiculus a Swedish version of the City of London's Griffin? Ponders, I do believe, Martin Watkins. Very interesting thought. I think this debate is going to run and run in the comments, ladies and gentlemen. Add your comments. Thank you very much, Charles Aggs, for saying it was a great interview. Thank you very much, Romalie Wakeling, as well. It was delightful to see you. Next week, ladies and gentlemen, we've got Josh Schmidt, a genuine serial exchange entrepreneur. He's going to be talking about his latest deal, selling the Neo exchange that he has in Canada and talking his way through his history and career. Thank you very much, Robert Brown of clearingandsettlement.com. Delighted to see you. Glad you enjoyed this discussion with Taraneh Derayati this evening. It just remains for me to say thank you once again to our great guest this evening, Taraneh Derayati of Vermiculus Technology. Check them out at vermiculus.se. Thank you to all the people who made comments and questions this evening. What a lively show it was. Thank you, Robert Brown. Thank you, Charles Aggs. Thank you, Romalie Wakeling, Peter Secon, Simon Huckle, Les Calvert. Great to see you once again. Stephen Mahoney, excellent question. Bernie Kennedy, I hope you haven't been blown away in that gale where you are in the west of Ireland, and that Storm Barrow will leave you in the morning all entirely intact. Thank you to Martin Watkins. Several interventions this evening, which were absolutely superb. We're going to go off and live and hope that the storm clouds don't manage to tear apart our distributed technology at this point in time. Let me just say we'll be back for all of the usual information in Exchange Invest every day, all the news and information about the world of bourses. And thank you to one of our most exciting, interesting, and engaged readers once again, Taraneh Derayati. It's been an absolute pleasure. My name is Patrick L. Young. On behalf of Exchange Invest, on behalf of our production team this evening, thank you very much for watching. We'll be back next week. And of course, also, I hope you have a great week in life, blockchain, and markets. Thanks for watching.